is a huge honor for me to be podcast interviewing today Dr. Lawrence Wallace, who is a board-certified oral and maxillofacial surgeon with over 25 years in private practice. He is a consultant to the medical insurance industry and maxillofacial surgery. He is the inventor and CEO of the Larell One Step Denture, a revolutionary method of fabricating complete dentures in a single office visit in about an hour, all without the use of an outside lab. When I first heard about you, now, I don't want to butcher your technique you talk about. When I first heard about this, I was so darn excited to podcast interview you. How did an oral surgeon get into one-step denture making?
Well, it's very interesting. When I left practice, I had taken out hundreds of thousands of teeth, and I felt that it was important for me to do something in my retirement to give those teeth back. I had worked in nursing homes, and I had worked in other situations where it was necessary to deal with dentures and delivering immediate dentures in my own practice regularly, finding that many, if not most, did not fit, and that's corroborated by most of the practitioners I talked to. And I felt that this was something that was needed. We looked at the Surgeon General's report from 2000 that said the biggest problems in dentistry, access and cost. And I felt that this dentures was needed. I felt that it is very important, significant, and an underserved market, and that's why I decided to go this route.
Access, affordability, and what's the other one? Availability. Those are the three A's that they always say that we're not doing well enough.
Yes.
I thought it was pretty funny. When I got out of school in '87, dentures was one of the things predicted to be extinct in my career. And now 30 years later, the United States does more dentures each year than they did when I graduated in '87. I mean, it's a larger population, but like I'm down here in a border town of Phoenix, and there's immigrants all day long that need full mouth dentures. I mean, it's not going away.
We do a lot of work in the Phoenix area, and yes, the percentage of people who are saving their teeth is increasing, but the population is increasing at a tremendous level. And when you factor in the fact that many people do not have any dental insurance, and it doesn't cover very much, and it's very expensive to get crowns and implants and root canal and all of the other procedures, and it is driving, unfortunately, more and more people to dentures.
Well, actually, I come from Wichita, Kansas, and we just say that so we can act fancy. It's really all from Parsons, Kansas, and my entire pedigree is just filled with dentures, and it's not as debilitating as many people think it is. I mean, I got a bunch of uncles and cousins and nephews that have full mouth, and I've said, "You want me to do implant reconstruction, whatever?" And they go, "Man, I can eat corn on the cob and apples." So a lot of it, I have noticed a couple things. If they got them when they were young, they totally adapted. If they got them when they were 60 or 70, sometimes, it can be very hard to adjust.
As is everything as we get older.
Yeah,
as I say in my lectures, dentures aren't a substitute for teeth. They're a substitute for no teeth. And that's a significant point.
And it's the same thing with blindness. People born blind are a lot happier and easier going than people who lost their vision.
True.
They never knew. So how does this work? Now, rumor has it 5 sizes fits all. That there's 5 custom sizes, and they'll pretty much fit in any mouth. Is that it in it?
That is basically it. We measured to specific measurements that we developed about 3,000 consecutive edentulous models that came through a dental laboratory. And we were able to use a spreadsheet program and group them into the 5 sizes that we have. And because and I'll get to that, but because there's thermoplastic involved, they're able to be molded and the teeth are able to be customized. So these 5 sizes can pretty well fit just about everybody.
So you want to go into how it works, or
sure,
or do you want to talk about the need for it? Because dental practice incomes peaked in 2005 at $219,000, and a decade later it's $174,000. So that's down $45,000 a year net income over the last decade. It's dropping $4,500 a month as everybody switches from indemnity insurance to a PPO. You no longer submit your fee and they pay a percent. Now the insurance submits you a fee on a PPO. 82 out of 100 general dentists in America signed up for it, and it's a 40% reduction in fee. So every product has to be faster, cheaper, better, or it's not going to work.
Faster, cheaper, better. Those are the exact words of Gordon Christensen. And yes, I have just read an article from the American Dental Association stating that dental incomes are stagnant, practices are down, and from everybody I talk to, it's about 10 to 15%. And what we've come up with, because it is important, and I'll just say this real briefly, it is important that dentistry is maintained in the hands of the dentists. The minute that we lose control to somebody or something else, whether it's insurance companies or the government, we will lose our ability to be the masters of our own destiny. So it's important that we take care of people, because as people are taken care of, the intrusions from the outside are less. When there is a need and it is unmet, that's when outside forces will step in.
I noticed you omitted corporate dentistry, so that's not a red flag to you. You said insurance companies and government.
Well, the corporate dentistry is a significant factor in dentistry today, but it is providing care. And I really don't have a great deal of background with large corporate dentistry, and so I really don't want to address that, other than they have many, many offices. Every group has hundreds of offices, and they are providing care. So it's really to the positive that care is being provided.
I would say corporate dentistry is like any there's 350 different chains. So it's like you go to any city with 350 dentists. There's good ones, bad ones, in the middle. They're all over the board.
Correct.
But I think the funniest thing is you and I are old enough to know, and these most podcast listeners are young. I mean, you're talking to thousands of dentists, probably under 30. But when we were little, Cigna thought, well, why sell the insurance and then have some dentist office provide it? We'll start our own dental offices. And you notice all those insurance companies that started their own dental offices, they quickly realized that they were losing money. And then they realize, my gosh, I can get dentists to sign up for this and lose money. I don't want to lose money. So the insurance companies got out of delivering the care because they couldn't even deliver it for a profit on their own fee schedule. Isn't that just incredibly almost hilarious? But anyway, I don't want to interrupt you.
Yes, it is. So you bring up an important point, that most of the listeners will be under 30 years old, or approximately 30, because that's the age that many graduates come out. And they're faced with tremendous debt from dental school, and they go into either private practices or group practices. It doesn't really matter the practice setting, but it's important to keep the chair filled. It is important to be profitable. With overheads getting upwards of 70-75%, there is a tremendous amount of pressure on the practitioner to be able to make a decent living. And as you said, dental incomes have dropped from $214,000 to $175,000. So what we're doing is we are addressing that by bringing in the Larell One Step Denture. It is not the panacea for all of dentistry, but it is addressing a large population, a large group of people who need care, who want care, and need it efficiently and affordably. The dentist, on the other hand, has the needs to fill empty chair time, be productive, fill his practice. So what we are doing is addressing both of those issues. The denture process itself, it's intuitive, it's easily learned, there is a learning curve. Gordon Christensen saw us, loved us, evaluated us for over a year, and felt that this was a very significant contribution, because he goes by the mantra, better, faster, cheaper. If it isn't, I don't want to see it. And so being able to offer a technique that is both profitable for the dentist, and profitable for the dentist is, aside from fixed overhead, upwards of $900 to $1,000 an hour. Now, with the average dental income being below $200 an hour, that's significant. With a technique that is easily learned, and a market that is waiting to be served. Yes, in the 80s, in the late 80s, cosmetics, dental implants, veneers, cosmetic dentistry became very popular, and it was felt that dentures would go by the wayside. But an article in 2002 said, hey, the need for dentures is tremendous, and it's increasing, and it will increase. This article was from 2002, prior to the big economic meltdown. They felt that the need for dentures would increase up until 2020. And unfortunately, it is going to increase for much longer than that.
There's a dental lab up the street from me in Nogales, Arizona, that does 1,500 units a day of just removable cast partials. Partials. 1,500 units a day.
That's remarkable.
Unbelievable.
It is. But it just shows that the need is there. I mean, there are 2 to 3 million more people every year losing their teeth, becoming edentulous. And we're starting out right now at about 41 million. So it is.
Well, I want you to know, I would lose my teeth and wear your denture if I could have your hair. Is there any way we can arrange that? You're an oral surgeon. Could you pull yours and stick them in mine? Would it work?
I could. But it'd be all cash, and I'd make a lot more money.
Okay, so how do you? So you said you had 3,000 consecutive models, and you measured 2 points. What did you measure?
Oh, we measured more than 2 points. We measured about 16 points on each arch, and grouped them in a mathematical formula to come out with the 5 sizes that we came out with. Because these 5 sizes, other than extreme outliers to the averages, will be able to be adapted and fit to 99% of the population. So if you'd like to go through the process, or
you got a PowerPoint?
No, I would
okay.
just describe it.
Okay.
The process is to take a model of the jaw, upper or lower or both, and pour it up in quickset stone. Everything we do is made for efficiency. So you take the template that is the closest fitting template. I actually have one right here that I can show you. This is a commercial model. We've taken the closest fitting template. This is what they look like. Teeth set, individually set, Meyerson-Kenson teeth, thermoplastic acrylic, malleable in boiling water. Find the one that fits the closest. And the process, in short, is drop this in boiling water for 45 seconds. It molds to the model. And then it is taken to the mouth and finished with a chairside reline material. And this is the finished model, finished denture that was made to this model. It is virtually comparable to a laboratory processed denture. It is bilaminar, so it actually gives a secondary extra layer of strength. Because it is fit in the mouth, used with an occlusal plane plate, and visually for the lip support and the vertical dimension, you can easily see and have the patient see exactly what they're going to have. You can modify the teeth. The teeth are individually set so that they are easily customizable, either individually or in section if you need to. We address class 2 and we address class 3 as well.
So now you're an oral surgeon. Did you ever do these where you, as an immediate, where you extracted the teeth and then did this process, or is it not really designed for an immediate?
Well, that's an interesting question. I didn't do this in practice because the immediate dentures all came in to be made already. They were already made, and only 30% of them fit. And this was something that just stuck with me. Yes, and patients do not want to go out of the dental office without teeth. They have the teeth removed by me. They're going out with teeth. So our immediates actually, I feel, are superior to traditional immediates because it's counterintuitive how they are made. The teeth are removed first. The surgery is done, the alveoplasty is done, and then the impression is taken, the model is made, and the template is fit to that model. So you're fitting it to the post-surgical model and therefore getting the best fit. It is then relined in the standard fashion as you would a complete Larell denture, and Patients are very comfortable with it. It's more comfortable, yes, in 6 weeks or 6 months it needs to be relined because that's a factor in all immediate dentures where you get bone resorption. But the patients are much more comfortable with these, and therefore it just makes for a much more positive experience for the dentist and for the patient, and keeps the patient out of the office for adjustments.
Okay, this is Dentistry Uncensored. So, what does this cost? Where do they buy it? What does it sell for?
Here's the way the numbers work out. A single unit arch is $185.
You can almost steal that out of your dental assistant's purse.
Almost.
She just leaves it right there in the lunchroom. Okay, $185.
So
And that's
let's take a full case.
But wait, that's at larelldentures.com, Larell dentures.com.
Yes, we're not ordering over the internet at this point. They can order by email or by phone, and we will soon have the ability to order on the internet.
And what's the email and phone?
The email is Larry, Larry, at Larell, Larell.com.
Okay, does Larell come from Larry, or is that just Larry?
Yes, it does. It comes from Larry and Ellen, my wife.
Oh, wow. LAR is for Larry and ELL is for Ellen?
Yes.
Oh,
She and I started a medical insurance consulting company prior to Larell Dentures, and that was the name we chose because her background was in outside medical sales. And when we morphed into the denture company, we just maintained the name.
Now, did you do that because you're romantic or because she was holding a frying pan over your head?
Yes.
Okay, so it's $185 for an arch.
For an arch.
Okay, so continue.
So here's how the numbers break down. It takes, once you're up the learning curve, and it takes a few cases to really get the idea of how you need to customize it if you need to, and how to work with the materials. So an full arches, upper and lower, is $370. You have about $5 worth of reline material and about an hour's worth of time. Now, being very uncensored as we are, the average fee for dentures in this country is about $3,100 for a set. We suggest the price to the patient of between $1,200 and $1,400 for the set of dentures. So with using $1,400 as the cost to the patient, and a cost to the dentist of $375 with about an hour's worth of time, that leaves $800 to $900 per hour profit. That's net profit, exclusive of fixed overhead, of course. Now, we've run some studies, and I actually had to minimize the studies. So basically, the average dentist has, let's say, 15% empty chair time. If you fill that 15% empty chair time with the edentulous patients who are out there, who need it, who want it, they need dentures, and fill that and do 2 cases a week. That's all. 2 cases a week, you will add $70,000 to your bottom line. If you do 4 cases a week, which is a little more, you're up to about $230,000. Actually, it's about $130,000 and $230,000. So it is, with some marketing, you can bring in patients from everywhere. I have had this experience occur everywhere. Dentists do marketing. They do it internally. They do it externally. And they bring the patients in. And I don't know why this is, but denture patients seem to talk to each other. And once you've done a few denture patients, they just start coming in. It's easy work. It's profitable. Patients are happy. We do require to have some training before you do this, and we do the training through an internet webinar. We don't have any scheduled at this moment, but we can provide the webinar electronically to the dentist. We had an article in Dental Town magazine in 2015 in the Do Good issue, because we do a lot of philanthropic work. And we had tremendous response from your readers, tremendous response. And as far as the mentioning the philanthropic work, we do missions of mercy for the California Dental Association, the Wisconsin Dental Association, the Central Arizona Dental Society, and we go in a weekend with 4 dentists and do anywhere from 100 to 120 dentures start to finish in that time. It's phenomenal, and we see a lot of jaw-dropping looks from the volunteers and the volunteer dentists. It's a tremendous service, and if we wanted to just continue offering that, the line would never end wherever we would go.
Well, you said that webinar. The webinar is the product. Dentaltown is the distribution. If you put that as an online course on Dentaltown, the website's got 217,000 members. We came out with an app. It has 50,000 members, signs up 1,000 a month, and we put the online CE on there. We put up 350 courses. They've been viewed over 600,000 times. So if you put that webinar as an online CE course, that would be it's like putting your shelf on at Home Depot or IKEA or Walmart. The distribution would be amazing. So you'd be having people listen to this in China and Kathmandu in an hour.
You'll have it on Monday.
Nice. I'm Howard at Dentaltown. The other Howard Goldstein does online CE, so he's Hogo at Dentaltown. Ryan, can you email him? So I'm Hogo. I'm Howard at dentaltown.com. He's Hogo at dentaltown.com. But the reason I got to tell you some of the things I've been seeing for years. So way back in the day, I got my fellowship in the Mish Institute with Carl Mish, and some of my friends in that class went to Florida and Bakersfield, California, and they bought these denture clinics. And so the denture clinic was doing like $500,000 a year, and then they added implants to it. And then overnight, this thing was doing $3.5 million a year. And the other thing they taught me with the dentures is that you want to have a low, a medium, a high. And what they would do is they would have a low-cost entry-level denture. Then that would be like the Chevy. Then some people would come back and say, well, you know what? I want to put 2 minis under that or 4 minis under that. Then some would say, I want all on 4. I mean, it's a broad spectrum. It's not just like there's not one car. General Motors makes a Cadillac, a Buick, an Olds, a Chevy, a Pontiac, a Chevy. So these, so when dentists start doing more removable and start advertising, especially for the lower fee, like you were saying, you recommended between 12 and 1,400. If 370 twice would be 640, 3 times cost would be 1,010, 4
No,
times
370
cost.
is 370 is both.
Yeah. So if they start providing a low cost denture, these would be planting the seeds where some would come back for upgrading it to a denture on 2 implants or 4. Or do you see it that way?
I absolutely do. That's a very good point, and we see this all the time. And I learned this anecdotally from the dentists who are my customers, that many patients will come in and need dentures. They've held off because of the costs involved. They come in because they absolutely need to have them done. And when they find out how much money they are saving in having a Larell denture, they say, well, I can afford to have a couple of implants placed. And we all know that if you can place 2 implants in the lower in order to stabilize that lower denture, that's a winner for everybody.
I want to ask you the most controversial question in implants. Minis versus root forms. Some data, and when you go around the country and you go around the world, you see a big distribution. But some circles of implantology, if you place minis, you're not a real doctor, and pack up and go home. Other people like it. I interviewed a oral surgeon from Germany that 20 years ago he placed 500 implants a year, no minis, and now he places 500 implants and 500 minis a year because he saw it as a low cost and a high cost, and when he started offering a low cost, it didn't even affect his high cost. What's your view on minis?
I am absolutely in favor of them, but I don't use the word mini because I think it has a connotation from the old days and the original ones where there were problems. But any implant is a narrow diameter implant that is under 3 millimeters. And they can be placed and loaded immediately if you have the proper torque. And so many implant companies, and I'm working with a few implant companies, they have standard diameter implants and narrow diameter implants. The narrow diameter implants work extremely well with the dentures. As in any other procedure, case selection is important. You can't overload the dentures. But to stabilize a denture, narrow diameter implants up to 2.7, 2.8 millimeter diameters, two of those would be sufficient to stabilize a denture under another denture. Once you are stabilizing a denture against natural dentition, then you have to be a little more judicious in the amount of support you have, because the forces from the natural teeth obviously are much greater than the forces from dentures. I placed about 1,000 implants in my career as an oral surgeon. They were all standard diameter implants. We place a lot of narrow diameter under 3 millimeter. So anything under 3 millimeter, if you have the sufficient bone, you can place the sufficient torque when you seat the implant, you can load it immediately, and it will be successful for cases of dentures. We can't overload them because then you get beyond the physical capabilities of the denture. In our webinar, we talk about how to super stabilize the denture so we have less of a breakage. It's through mesh in the palate and reinforcing wires in the lingual of the mandibular denture. But they are definitely a positive.
So mini implants, the term mini has been replaced by narrow diameter implants, anything under 3.0. What's that?
By me.
Oh, by you. And so now it's more, they're narrow or standard?
Yes.
Okay, not mini or roof form. And you said you're working with a couple implant companies. Which companies are you working with?
Well, I'm working with Imtech. I'm working with OCO Biomedical. And
OCO Biomedical?
Yes.
That's out of Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Yes, it is.
And the other one was Imtech?
It's Imtech, and they're going to be out of New Jersey. They've just combined with another implant company, and I'm just getting set up with the implant company. We're going to do training, and we're going to do it for implants and for dentures. And let me add in another topic that this is going to really blow everybody's mind and change things. The incidence of obstructive sleep apnea in edentulous patients is great. Now, edentulous patients need oral appliances. These oral appliances are stabilized on dental implants for the lower. The uppers don't necessarily need that, but the lowers do. And so if you are doing 2 implants with your edentulous oral sleep apnea appliance, which may be covered under your medical insurance, you can take that out in the morning and snap in your denture right into the same area. So there's a lot of new technology coming out to increase the use. We use these dentures for obturators, for people who need temporary obturators. We use them for fluoride carriers for radiation. We've even been approached by the Ectodermal Dysplasia Society, who would like us to create tiny little dentures for those children who have ectodermal dysplasia. And as we know, between ages of 5 and 18, when they're still growing, they are at the dentist 4 or 5 times for a set of dentures and can do that 3 times a year, like outgrowing shoes. And so that's an area that we're also going to be expanding into.
One of our my 4 boys, one of their friends, remember your friend, what's his name? Also, had that when they were growing up. One of their best friends.
Yeah, it's
who's the implant company in New Jersey?
Well, the company is the principal is Kerry Lyons.
Okay, Kerry Lyons. That's I should have guessed. Kerry Lyons. He's the Megagen distributor, right?
Yes, Megagen IDS, and they've just combined with a I'm not sure if it's Imtech. He has combined with another implant company, and we are going to be partnering for training dentists to do implants and dentures. One of the interesting things
Was he talking about a hands-on course?
well, there are going to be ongoing hands-on courses through Oko Biomedical, through Kerry Lyons.
Because you know what, Kerry Lyons
They'll be done right there in Arizona, in Phoenix.
at the Cast Center.
Yes.
Yeah, with Chris Volchek. That is so cool. I've told my homies about that before, that the reason people have to go to Mexico, across the border from Yuma here, or Brazil or Dominican Republic is because you don't have you only have a license in your state. You can't go to another course in another state and use a license. And so Chris Volchek went to the Arizona State Board of Dental Examiners and said, but I run a homeless shelter just for vets. Can licensed dentists from other U.S. states come and do free volunteer dentistry on vets? And the board was like, well, of course. I mean, who would say no to that? And then so Kerry got that deal in New Jersey too. And I've heard at least 4 or 5 homies from all different cities. So far, I've heard of no one saying no at any board if you're doing volunteer dentistry in a homeless shelter. I mean, how do you say no to that?
You can't say no to that. And
I mean, that's just, I mean, what, that nothing is better than something, you know?
Right. Chris Volchek is a super guy, and he's running a great organization there. And that brings up the philanthropic side of what we do with the Missions of Mercies. And we'll be going in and doing dentures at the CAST clinic just for them. And they'll be in combination for training and not for training.
Is 3M still, how's their mini MDI, mini dental implant?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't have enough knowledge. I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent. I just don't have enough knowledge.
Can I ask you, I want to ask you another controversial question about implants. There seems to be 2 camps, even within great legendary families, like take Carl Misch, he'll place an implant in a smoker. His legendary brother, Randy, won't. One of the problems we see, well, what's your view? What do you think when placing mini implants under a denture in a smoker? Because a lot of the reasons people need dentures is because they did smoke, drink, have diabetes, you know.
Other issues. Dental implants can be placed in smokers, in current smokers and in former smokers. It brings up a certain level of concern, both from the dental standpoint, where hygiene becomes impeccable hygiene becomes mandatory, but it also brings up a sense of responsibility for the patient, understanding that because they are smokers, there is a healing deficit that they must be aware of. And that would be described to them in the risks and benefits of having the implants. All in all, it can be and is successful. It just raises a little level of care and concern and watching of the case.
You're out there in Carmel Valley?
Yes.
Where's that?
It's by Pebble Beach.
Pebble Beach, which is by Monterey?
Yes.
So about an hour and a half south of San Fran?
2 hours south of San Francisco.
So let's talk about another uncomfortable question. There's lots of pockets in the United States that have huge meth outbreaks. Bakersfield, California, near you, is one of them. I have many homies out there that practice there for 20 years and didn't do a denture a month, and now they're doing a couple dentures a week. We have that out here in Phoenix. I don't want to say what area of my backyard because someone in Apache Junction might be hearing, but Apache Junction, you talk to any police officer in all of Phoenix Metro and say, what's going on in Apache Junction? They say, dude, there's a meth lab in every trailer park in Apache Junction. And I've made some grotesque mistakes where someone came in and I did a bunch of root canals and crowns, and they spent a bunch of money, but they were doing meth, and 6 months later they were in a removable. I do think as the meth problem, which seems to ebb and flow in communities, wherever there's a meth problem is a massive increase in dentures, and you really need to pull back on saving them with root canals and crowns because they pretty much lose everything. Have you had much experience with that?
Yes, we have. Through many of the Missions of Mercies we've done in Virginia, Tennessee, Arkansas, and through other areas of the country, we see a high number of people who have been meth addicts. We can tell because they are younger and have lost all of their teeth or on their way to losing all of their teeth, usually lost all of their teeth. We don't judge anybody. If somebody has no teeth and they need a denture, they need a denture. And the cause is another issue. But yes, the meth problem is great. There are meth labs all over California. There's meth labs all over the country. It's easy to make. I understand it's easy to sell. And our dentists see them a lot. And it's very sad to see, but it does affect the teeth, probably because they don't feel pain. The meth removes pain, and the patients don't have the hygiene that they have. They don't visit the dentist, and there's dry mouth, xerostomia, and those factors cause the teeth to be lost.
And I hope you young kids listen to what he just said. He said, don't judge. You're a dentist. You're not their preacher. You're not their mom. You're not their dad. Everyone needs a doctor. And when your patient comes to you, obviously they have issues. I mean, what's in the news today? Just found out Prince OD'd on fentanyl. Of course, all CNN's, where the hell did he get fentanyl? Why did Prince die of fentanyl? We see that when you and I got out of dental school, it was 30,000. 30,000 died in a car wreck, 30,000 died of suicides, 30,000 died in accidents. And then out of nowhere, we got a 430, which was opioid death. And now it's shot all the way to 47. I mean, it could literally double car wrecks at this trajectory in 5 years. Twice as many Americans will die from an opioid, Oxycontin, Vicodin. I mean, it's been the number one prescribed drug our entire careers. I
feel there is quite a bit of overuse. Part of it is technology, which has made non-trained people able to make these drugs in synthetic form easily.
Oh, are they making Vicodin and fentanyl and all that?
Versions of it. And
well, I'll have to drive me out to Apache Junction and see if it's very effective. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's strange times we live in, but the point we're making is dentures, the reason I'm trying to say all these things, that dentures is a viable business. These kids are coming out of school, $350,000 student loans, and with all the math and all the immigration and all the elderly and the growing population, this country is going to do 1 million units of dentures a year. And these low-cost dentures will serve your patients well, and then a lot of them will upgrade from the Chevy to get a couple of narrow forms, maybe a couple of root forms, maybe someday come in and get fixed over implant.
Well, that's true, and we use our dentures not as a final restoration for all on fours, but as a provisional restoration, and it can be made right there in the office. Many offices that do all on four implant restorations have a laboratory technician that can and does come in and formulate the fixed provisional restoration, but there's many, many, many areas in the country where that's not available, and the dentist can take and reformat one of our templates to a fixed provisional for an all-on-four case in about 30 or 40 minutes for a few $100s rather than for $2,000. But that's a side issue. They are used. Yes, the use with implants is increasing. Of the people who are edentulous who need dentures, it's very interesting when you do some digging for it. Half the people who need dentures are under age 65. Half. It's just that percentage of people who are under 65 is so much greater that the percentage of people who are edentulous is smaller. But we find that in other countries where we are working, through philanthropic work, from Nepal to Peru to Haiti, Jamaica, one of our doctors went to Kenya. We find that the edentulous population is huge.
Yeah, I've been to every one of them countries. God, that I just planned my next vacation. Those are beautiful countries. Yeah, dentures are huge. I mean, people forget there's 7 billion people on Earth, and 3 billion live on $3 a day. And within America, you think if it's the richest country in the world, Clear Choice does about 17,000 arches a year at 25 grand. Tell me that's not a huge distribution of Cadillacs all the
Yes.
way down to so yeah, dentures are here to stay. And when I first heard about your technique, it might have been from Gordon. We were both lecturing together in Pennsylvania. Actually, I think about 6 or 7 different people have told me about you and how excited they are about all this. So Monday, you're going to send us a course. We're going to make an online CE course, and
I
uh,
will send you our online training webinar this afternoon.
now, do you have any product champion dentists who are or what glove doing this the most?
I don't have. I have many that do a lot of them,
Yeah.
um, uh, but
You
I don't.
should do this. You should send me an email, and then Howard at dentaltown.com and CC all the ones that are doing this with you, and so we can get some momentum going talking about this on your course on Dental Town. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
I am working on. I am working on a CE, an official CE course with Howard Goldstein for you. It's been kind of sidetracked time to time, but it will be there shortly. But the training webinar, which is sufficient and describes didactically the case selection, the uses, and then there's a full narrated video of the process that gives most dentists the ability to perform them from that point.
This is exciting. Larell, that's what you call it, Larry Ellen.
Larell.
Why don't we just call it the Larry Ellen One Step Denture? You just like that, Larell? So your wife was a dental insurance consultant
No,
or a
she was
medical insurance?
outside medical sales, but she was the director of the endo department at NYU Dental School.
No kidding.
And her father practiced dentistry in Brooklyn, and her brother practiced dentistry in Georgia and in New York.
So how'd you get all the way to the other side of America? How'd you go from East Coast to West Coast?
We met out here in California.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
and so do you get back to Brooklyn and all that much?
I do.
Yeah,
I do, because DeFaro's Pizza on 18th Street is one of the most famous pizzas in the country, and they have to get back to get that every once in a while.
I think Manhattan is the coolest spot in the world.
I like Manhattan.
Yeah, and the funniest thing about the funniest stat about Manhattan is that if all 7 billion humans, if we all lived at the same density of Manhattan, we'd all fit in New Zealand.
Wow.
If New Zealand was just a huge Manhattan, all 7 billion Earthlings could fit there. So what else do my homies need to know about the LarellDentures.com? Larell Dentures.com. What are they going to find on your website if they went there right now?
They'll find some general information. They would contact me. There are multiple contact areas. I try to keep current on the website where I'm lecturing and where I'm talking. My next large lecture is at the AGD meeting in Boston. It is sold out already for July. I lectured at the AGD meeting last year in San Francisco, sold out ahead of time. And so they're already making plans for me for next year in Las Vegas.
Boston, that's another amazing city, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Well, that's
We did
that. Go
a, we
ahead.
did, we did a lecture and live demonstration for the prosthodontic residents and the graduate dental residents and faculty at UCLA 2 weeks ago. So we were down at that dental school and did a live demo. I had a prosthodontist who works with me, Dr. Scott Adishian from Pasadena, and he
How do you
is
spell his last name?
Adishian.
And how did the prosthodontist like it?
They love it. Actually, I thought in the beginning I would get pushback and objections from the prosthodontic community, and I don't find that. I find prosthodontists virtually everywhere seeing the value in what we're doing, because not everybody can afford an $8,000 set of dentures, and they realize, one, they have empty chair time, and two, there is a great portion of the community that really needs to be served.
But but again, I mean, I'm going to repeat this till I'm blue in the face. I can give you the names of denture places in every state that advertise Denture World, and they advertise this very low cost denture. And then you go meet these guys. They say, yeah, it's about 20% of our business. We get hundreds of new patients a month because everybody wants a low cost denture. But then we show them the low cost denture, and then we show them a higher cost denture, and then a denture on too many implants and on four, and then two with a overbar, a hater bar, dolder bar, fixed, non-fixed. So when they get there, they show them a portfolio of everything from the low cost denture to 6 implants and a 12-unit bridge on each arch, or all on 4, and they get the whole distribution.
Right.
And so it's the best thing, because most people, they don't know how to evaluate dentures. So if I open up the newspaper, I mean, when you said 1,200 to 1,400, my first thought was, my God, you got to get it under 1,000. Go $9.99, because when you put up a billboard or an ad in the newspaper with a $9.99 full set denture, you're going to get a bunch of people. At $9.99, you're going to make money. You're going to give them a service, all that kind of stuff. But if you just upgraded 1 in 10 to an implant fix case, it would just be a cash cow.
It definitely would. And here's an interesting point. Originally, when we first hit the market, it was the price point that would bring patients in. But
$9.99.
Any price point, and 900 to 1,000 was.
But when you're in Boston, that town's all Irish. You got to advertise $9.99 and a quart of Jameson. And then you'll be lined up outside. But anyway.
But not necessarily in that order.
No, in Tennessee it'll be Jack Daniels, but in Boston it'll be Jameson. But
yes, it will.
So your early advertising showed the price point was under 1,000 at $9.99.
Well, we don't advertise directly. It's the dentist who advertise, and so we would recommend that, and they would set the fees at whatever they would like. But as I started to say, it became, over the last few years, the convenience of being able to come in once, have extractions, have the denture, have implants, all done in a single visit, not even a full day, but just come in and get it done. The convenience factor has been so important to people, because everybody wants everything done yesterday now. If it's not instant, it's not good enough. It's too slow. And so not only do patients want that, they're willing to pay extra for that.
I lose my temper when I pull up to the drive-thru at McDonald's and there's 2 cars parked in front of me. I'm like, what is going on? 2 cars? I have to wait 2 cars? But yeah, same-day crowns. I mean, look at what Plan Mecca with E4D and Dentsply Sirona with Cerac. I mean, the same-day crown. I mean, those guys got what, some 14, 15% of the American dental market is milling crowns chairside now.
Right. It's a very interesting point. I was in the Patterson booth for a year, and I had a kiosk in the Patterson booth, and right next to me were the Cerac machines. And so I would say to the dentist, you can spend $250,000 on a Cerac machine and make $800 an hour doing a crown, or you can spend $2,000 on a kit and make $800 an hour doing dentures. Which is more efficient for you?
So the intro kit is $2,000?
It's a little under that, yes.
So how much is it, and what is it? What's in the intro kit?
The intro kit has 10 denture templates in it. It has 1 set of each of the 5 sizes. It has a professional package of the hard reline material, and we use Lang Flexacryl is what we recommend. We tested about 20 different materials. We found that the Lang product met all of our criteria.
Lang
Flexacryl, Flexacryl.
And who makes that? That's the company, Lang?
Lang Dental.
And Lang Dental. And you also said that you used the teeth were Myers and Kenson?
Yes. And that's a mid-grade denture tooth used in probably 80% of dentures that go out the door from laboratories.
I remember Dentsply used to be a big player in the teeth.
They still are in the upper level of teeth.
Yeah, because I'll never forget they went to the lawsuit over that. They were accused of having a monopoly, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. Do you remember that back in the day?
Yes, I do.
And that was back when John Miles was the CEO. And yes. I remember having dinner with him, and I was saying, dude, why don't you just back down? I mean, you're going all the way to the Supreme Court. And he was just like, heck no. And he won, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He won. I couldn't believe this. This guy had the biggest boat on the Chesapeake Harbor, and he just wasn't a guy. He didn't even blink at the U.S. Supreme Court. and one.
So anyway, the kit has a package of the hard reline material, a package of the soft reline material. It also has the boiling pot for making the templates malleable, and it also has a bottle of a tinting concentrate, because many of our patients are African American and other people who have darker complexions. The bright pink of a denture doesn't look real natural, and so this tinting concentrate is added to the monomer. But when the reline is done, and it comes through as a little darker shade, and it can be customized to give a very natural look. We have 2 shades of teeth available. There's a B1 for those who want that bright white chiclet smile, and A2 for those who want a very natural. Typically, younger people will want the B1, and typically the older people will want the A2. But they're both available. The kit comes with either shade.
And speaking of African Americans, I was so excited today. The first African American dentist, Dr. Tara Poole, Tera Poole. I think she goes by paging Dr. Tara, is the first black valedictorian at the world's first dental school, which was Baltimore.
Yes.
And that dental school opened up 25 years before the Civil War. So the first 25 years at dental school, she couldn't even have gone. And now here it is, 170 years later, and Dr. Tara Poole's the first black valedictorian at the world's first dental school. I would have been the class valedictorian if they reversed the list. If they just would have changed it, hit that from last in to first out. But anyway, congratulations, Dr. Tara. That's just awesome. So, so what else do my homies need to know about this one-step denture? The bottom line is your assistant could do damn near the whole thing.
That in states with expanded duty auxiliaries, and even in states that don't have expanded duty, the assistant can do many of the parts of the procedure, and so the dentist chair time can be as little as 20 minutes to 40 minutes. And so the initial impression can be done by an assistant, the model can be poured by an assistant, the template can even be molded to the model by the assistant. And after it's been, then it goes to the dentist to be relined, and then the assistant can do the finishing. And then it comes back to the dentist, checks it with pressure indicating paste, which is very important, and the articulating paper to balance the occlusion. And just to go back to one of the things which I really emphasize, you alluded to it earlier, is what makes patients happy with their dentures. There's 3 things that makes them that are a successful denture: fit, form, and function. They have to fit well, they have to look good, you have to be able to function with them. But the patient expectations is the 4th factor, and you need to discuss the expectations with the patient. And once you bring them into a realization of what they can realistically expect from their dentures, then everybody's happy.
Fit, form, and function. But the other thing is, let's be real, this is Dentistry Uncensored. In your entire life, have you ever seen a dental assistant or a dentist get in trouble legally? Someone got in trouble from the dental assistant doing too much expanded duty of function?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's like dentists will tell me all day long, well, my hygienist shows she's not allowed to read x-rays. Dude, can you name one hygienist in jail today from reading an x-ray? I mean, so yeah, I'm looking at this whole technique. Same thing with CEREC machine. If you're going to buy a CEREC machine and do this whole thing yourself, you might as well just tear up your dental license and go be a lab tech. I mean, a CEREC machine, your dental assistant should be able to do everything. I mean, really, the hygienist should numb, you should prep, they should scan, mill, stain, glaze, and when it's all done, you come in and check it and cement. And I'm looking at your technique, and that could be all dental assistant time.
Yes, it is. And in some countries where we do mission work, and we're really the only ones doing dentures on these mission works, because they're there for 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. There's no dental laboratories around the process. You can't sit and wax up and get all this done other than this technique. And there's no lab techs around. And so assistants sometimes do the entire case and then just checked by the dentist.
Yeah, but seriously, would you want to be a dental assistant and suction spit for 30 years? I mean, I've had my same dental assistant since day one, so Jan's been with me 30 years. And what I have found out is when She learns the CEREC machine when she learns a new technique. That's what it makes her happier and more
It is.
fulfilled and
It is.
growing. And that's why I love Isolite, because Isolite, why would you have your dental assistant stand there retracting the tongue suctioning when you could have an Isolite in there, which does all that better and floods it with light? But then your dental assistant can be entering the notes, setting up the next room. She can be
Yes.
running around. I'm sure Jan is probably in the break room at least half of that time, eating donuts and drinking Starbucks coffee. So I think it's very stimulating. Well, hey, I can't wait to do this myself. Like I say, I had a half a dozen people telling me, "Oh my God, you got to check this out." I mean, and Gordon Christian was one of them. So, Lawrence, thank you so much for being my favorite kind of Americans, which are the ones that figure out how to do anything faster, cheaper, better. I loved Southwest Airlines, Herb Kelleher, when he decided he's only going to fly one plane. He was not going to do the hub and spoke, only fly direct. He was going to get rid of mills. By him keeping one eye on the cost and one eye on the customer, he was able to give everyone the freedom to afford to fly. I mean, now any grandma can go watch her daughter's first communion because Herb Kelleher made it affordable. Remember when we were little, pretty much only rich businessmen were doing the flying. Remember that?
That's
And
right.
everybody getting on the airplane was in a three-piece suit and had a briefcase, and a Fortune 500 company was paying for the ticket. I always loved that about Jim Glidewell. I remember when I got out of school, you go all these fancy courses, and they'd all make fun of Jim Glidewell and Glidewell Lab, and they talk about their high-cost lab. And I say, there's nothing wrong with a Cadillac. But, Jim's the one who's the smartest one who drove down costs to give every American the freedom to afford a crown. I think Jim Glidewell is the biggest hero to me in the lab deal, and it rewarded him economically. I mean, he does 5% of the crowns in America. He's a multi-gazillionaire. He's got 3 jets, but he got that reward because when you deliver to the masses, you'll make so much money, you'll eat with the classes. And when you just focus on high expensive dentistry for the masses, 9 times out of 10, you'll go broke and you'll be living with the classes. And I just always love the Americans who use their God-given talent to keep one eye on the customer, one eye on costs, and use that brain of theirs to drive down costs until everyone has the freedom to afford to keep their teeth, because you can't have mental health if you don't have dental health, especially women. When women lose their teeth, they are depressed,
It's
they are sad.
devastating.
It's devastating. When I lost my hair, I was glad. I lost my comb, my brush, my blow dryer, my shampoo, my conditioner. I wouldn't wear a wig or hair transplants if you put a gun to my head. But any woman in America who lost all of her hair, what would she do the next day?
Wig.
She'd go buy a wig 100% of the time. So when women lose their teeth, it's debilitating. And when guys like you figure out how to drive down costs and give everybody the freedom to afford a denture, kudos to you, buddy.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
And
I appreciate it.
I hope my homies listen to you. Thanks for spending an hour with me on Friday, and I hope you have a rocking hot weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.